The Treasury Department has granted Elon Musk's Doge access to its payment system, which distributes trillions in benefits, grants, and refunds to Americans. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent approved the move, allowing Doge representatives read-only access to review the system's efficiency, though concerns remain over political involvement in financial operations. Former officials warned that allowing non-career personnel access could pose security risks, while Democrats have raised alarms about potential mismanagement. Musk claims Doge's oversight could cut $4 billion in government spending daily, but he has also alleged, without evidence, that fraudulent payments were routinely approved. Critics worry that the move could threaten the integrity of the U.S. financial system, especially if political opponents gain control over federal payments. President Trump announced new tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China, citing national security concerns over illegal immigration and fentanyl trafficking. The U.S. will impose a 25% tariff on imports from Mexico and Canada, a 10% tariff on Canadian energy products, and an additional 10% levy on Chinese goods with no exemptions allowed. In response, Canada and Mexico announced retaliatory tariffs on billions of dollars worth of U.S. goods, with Canada targeting $100 billion in products and Mexico planning similar countermeasures. Economists and industry leaders warned that these tariffs could increase prices for consumers and disrupt supply chains, particularly in the energy and auto sectors. The legal basis for these tariffs under emergency economic powers is likely to face challenges, but experts note that courts have historically deferred to presidential authority in such matters. North Korean troops deployed in Russia's Kursk region have withdrawn from the front lines after suffering heavy casualties, according to the Ukrainian officials. Around 12,000 North Korean soldiers arrived in Russia late last year, initially assisting with logistics before being pushed into combat, where they faced significant losses. Videos from Ukrainian drones showed North Korean soldiers being heavily targeted due to a lack of armored support. Ukraine has gathered evidence of their presence, including documents, DNA tests, and captured prisoners. Despite the withdrawal, Ukrainian officials expect North Korean troops to return as Moscow and Pyongyang strengthen their military ties. The crypto industry has found a welcoming environment in Trump's Washington, marking a stark reversal from the Biden administration's regulatory crackdowns. Trump signed an executive order prioritizing crypto regulations, appointed David Sachs as AI and crypto czar, and introduced meme coins like Trump and Melania, which briefly soared in value. Crypto executives, including Coinbase Brian Armstrong, celebrated the shift at high-profile events like the Crypto Ball, attended by political elites and influencers. Since Trump's election victory, Bitcoin has surged nearly 50%, reflecting renewed investor confidence in the sector. Total Capital Management has filed to launch leveraged exchange-traded funds that magnify exposure to Trump-related meme coins, testing the SEC's regulatory stance under the new administration. These meme coins, Trump and Melania, have no economic utility and have already lost over 60% of their peak value, raising concerns about investor risks. The SEC, now under acting chairman Mark Ueda, faces pressure to approve or reject these funds, which could set a precedent for other speculative crypto assets. The rise of leveraged ETFs fueled by growing market speculation has led small asset managers like Total Capital to push boundaries with high-risk, high-fee products. With a crypto-friendly administration in power, the financial industry is rapidly expanding crypto-related ETFs despite their volatility and regulatory uncertainty. DeepSeek has gained national recognition for developing AI models that rival American counterparts, sparking patriotic pride amid U.S. export restrictions on high-tech chips. The company's rise led to financial turmoil on Wall Street, skyrocketed its app to the top of U.S. iPhone downloads, and was widely celebrated on Chinese social media and state media. However, DeepSeek faces scrutiny over allegations of copying rivals' models, with OpenAI investigating potential unauthorized training on its AI. Additionally, a disinformation detection firm found that some of the online hype around DeepSeek may have been driven by fake accounts linked to the Chinese influence operations. While Beijing sees DeepSeek's success as a symbolic victory against U.S. tech restrictions, experts note that export controls remain a significant obstacle in the broader AI competition. Europe's economy is struggling due to sluggish growth, overregulation, high energy costs, and a lack of competitiveness, especially in AI and technology. The U.S. under President Trump is attracting investment with deregulation, tax cuts, and cheap energy, exacerbating Europe's stagnation. Business leaders at Davos criticized the EU's excessive regulations and incomplete single market, warning that companies may relocate to the US if conditions don't improve. While some argue Europe's challenges stem from external factors like energy costs and US fiscal policies, others see an urgent need for reform. Despite widespread pessimism, some experts believe Europe may be at its turning point with potential policy shifts already underway. SoftBank's Masayoshi Son is preparing to invest up to $43 billion in OpenAI, marking the largest ever startup funding round, with SoftBank also committing $18 billion to Stargate, a cloud computing venture for OpenAI. This partnership comes as OpenAI's relationship with Microsoft becomes strained and competition from China's DeepSeek challenges its costly proprietary AI model strategy. Son, known for his high-risk investments, sees AI as a once-in-a-generation opportunity, leveraging SoftBank's financial flexibility, including its valuable stake in ARM Holdings, to fund this massive bet. Altman and Son's relationship dates back to 2017, but their alignment on AI investments solidified in 2024, culminating in discussions about AI chip development and data centers. The Stargate project, with backing from Oracle and the UAE's MGX fund, aims to raise $100 billion initially, potentially reaching $500 billion in 4 years. President Trump's administration is weighing options to avoid imposing broad 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico, despite his repeated threats to do so by Saturday. Ongoing negotiations may lead to more targeted tariffs, potentially sparring key sectors such as oil, while still impacting industries like steel and aluminum. The administration faces legal concerns over using emergency economic powers to enforce tariffs, especially after a federal court ruling against similar executive actions. Meanwhile, Canada and Mexico are engaging in discussions with the U.S. on issues like migration and drug trafficking, potentially mitigating the tariff threats. Intense lobbying from U.S. industries and unions, including the United Steelworkers, has also pressured Trump to reconsider sweeping tariffs that could disrupt North American supply chains. Meta agreed to pay $25 million to settle a lawsuit filed by Trump in 2021 after the company suspended his accounts following the January 6 riot, with $22 million allocated to his presidential library. The settlement followed meetings between Trump and Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, including a dinner at Mar-a-Lago where Trump indicated resolving the lawsuit was necessary for Meta to gain favor with his administration. The case, initially stagnant, gained momentum as Trump's legal team prolonged litigation, ultimately leading to the settlement despite similar lawsuit being dismissed. Meta did not admit wrongdoing, and the settlement is part of a broader trend of corporations seeking favorable relations with Trump's presidency. The deal has drawn criticism, with Senator Elizabeth Warren calling it a sign of corruption and corporate influence over politics. A U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter and an American Airlines Bombardier jet collided midair near Reagan National Airport, resulting in a catastrophic crash over the Potomac River. Air traffic control had instructed the helicopter to pass behind the jet, but it is unclear if the directive was acknowledged. Emergency crew, including over 300 personnel, launched a large-scale search and rescue operation in the freezing waters, recovering 28 bodies as of Thursday morning. The crash forced the immediate shutdown of the airport, with flights diverted to other nearby airports. Transportation officials stated they had early indicators of the cause but did not release further details. DeepSeek, a new Chinese AI chatbot, provides responses similar to its U.S. counterparts but avoids politically sensitive topics like Tiananmen, Taiwan, and Tibet. When asked about the 1989 Tiananmen crackdown, it refused to answer, while ChatGPT provided a historical account. On Taiwan, DeepSeek echoed Beijing's official stance, claiming it as an integral part of China, whereas ChatGPT offered a more nuanced perspective. When discussing China's socialist capitalist model, DeepSeek used government rhetoric, while ChatGPT analyzed its mixed economy. On Tibet and the Dalai Lama, DeepSeek initially provided details but later erased its response, claiming the topic was beyond its scope. Microsoft and Meta reaffirmed their commitment to heavy AI investments despite concerns over DeepSeek's advancements in building powerful models with fewer resources. Meta plans to focus on personalized AI experiences and significantly increase capital expenditures, while Microsoft anticipates exponentially growing AI demand as costs decrease. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella acknowledged DeepSeek's innovations but framed them as part of AI's natural evolution rather than a disruptive shift. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg emphasized the importance of American leadership in setting global AI standards and leveraging infrastructure investments for long-term advantages. Both companies believe their massive spending on AI infrastructure will provide them with a competitive edge as the technology advances. Microsoft and Meta collectively spent $37.4 billion on capital expenditures in the last quarter, primarily on AI chips and data centers, nearly doubling their spending from the previous year. Despite this, NVIDIA stock continued to decline due to concerns over cost-efficient AI breakthroughs by DeepSeek, raising questions about future AI computing needs. Microsoft's earnings report show weaker than expected revenue growth in its intelligent cloud segment and Azure, leading to a nearly 5% drop in its stock price. While Microsoft expects similar capex spending in the coming quarters, CEO Satya Nadella emphasized growing AI efficiency would drive exponential demand. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg remains committed to aggressive capex investments, seeking them as a long-term strategic advantage supported by strong ad revenue growth and improving margins. President Trump ordered the Pentagon and DHS to build a facility at Guantanamo Bay to detain up to 30,000 migrants, focusing on those deemed the most dangerous. The move nearly doubled ICE's detention capacity is part of Trump's broader immigration crackdown, which includes using military resources for deportations. Guantanamo Bay has previously been used to house migrants, though critics argue this decision limits detainees' legal access and damages U.S. credibility. The White House plans to expand existing facilities at the base, with ICE managing operations and seeking congressional funding for the project. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth described Guantanamo as a temporary holding site before deportations, even suggesting the base's golf course could be repurposed for additional detainees. DeepSeek, a Chinese AI startup, has shaken up the global AI landscape with its powerful R1 reasoning model, sparking a $1 trillion stock sell-off and raising concerns about U.S. tech dominance. While DeepSeek could accelerate AI commoditization, much of the industry's value may still concentrate at the high end, where leading U.S. firms continue to push innovations. Questions about whether DeepSeek leveraged OpenAI's models through distillation add to the competitive and intellectual property tensions between the U.S. and China. However, DeepSeek's rise could benefit the AI ecosystem by driving broader adoption and fueling demand for AI chips, benefiting companies like NVIDIA. Ultimately, U.S. tech giants may retain leadership by continuously advancing AI models, but the competitive landscape has permanently shifted. In 2017, as Tulsi Gabbard's political career was rising, her campaign hired a public relations firm to suppress coverage of her ties to a Hindu sect, the Science of Identity Foundation, and its connections to a controversial company, QI Group, accused of running a pyramid scheme. Gabbard, raised in the sect, faced increasing scrutiny over her relationship with its leader, Chris Butler, and the group's ties to the fraudulent business activities of QI. Potomac Square Group worked to obscure these connections, targeting journalists and defending QI's practices. Gabbard's ties to the sect and QI have raised questions about her judgment, especially as she is nominated for a high-level intelligence role under President Trump. Despite the controversies, Gabbard has rarely addressed her involvement with the group publicly. The White House has offered federal workers a choice: return to the office full-time or resign and receive 8 months of pay and benefits. Employees who choose to leave by February 6 will be exempt from in-person work requirements until September 30. This move is part of a broader effort by the Trump administration to downsize the federal workforce, potentially saving $100 billion annually. However, some lawmakers and union representatives warn that workers may be left vulnerable if the plan is rescinded. The offer excludes military personnel, the U.S. Postal Service, and national security-related positions. In her first White House briefing, Karoline Leavitt, the youngest press secretary in history, announced that President Trump would open the briefing room to bloggers, podcasters, and social media influencers aiming to challenge the dominance of traditional news outlet. She also revealed that over 400 press passes revoked during the Biden administration would be reinstated, and new media outlets could apply for credentials. Leavitt declined to specify how often she would hold briefings, emphasizing that Trump would be his own spokesperson. During the briefing, she read a statement from Trump regarding drone sightings in New Jersey and avoided addressing certain questions, including details on paused federal aid programs. Leavitt also responded to inquiries about Medicaid, assuring that the White House was aware of a website outage, but no payments had been affected. On January 29, 2025, a drop in NVIDIA stock price following news of a cheaper AI model from DeepSeek prompted many investors to buy the dip, including Angelo Dodaro, who saw it as a chance to invest more in NVIDIA. Despite market losses, including a $1 trillion drop in value, individual investors like Dodaro and Austin remained optimistic about AI's long-term potential, believing the decline was just temporary noise. Some analysts and investors, however, cautioned that stock prices were overinflated and susceptible to sharp declines. The buying activity in NVIDIA was especially strong, with $562.2 million in retail purchases on Monday alone. Investors continued to back AI-driven companies like NVIDIA, Broadcom, and Tesla, although concerns about market volatility persist. OpenAI is investigating whether the Chinese AI startup DeepSeek trained its chatbot by extracting data from OpenAI's models through distillation, a process that mimics a larger model's reasoning. The company has banned suspected accounts and is working with Microsoft to identify those responsible, citing ongoing attempts by China-based entities to exfiltrate AI data. DeepSeek's new R1 model has drawn attention for its strong performance despite using less advanced chips, raising questions about whether its success is due to illicit model distillation. OpenAI prohibits users from training competing models using its outputs, and US AI star David Sacks accused DeepSeek of violating these rules. DeepSeek denies improper use of OpenAI's models, stating that it only applies distillation techniques to its own AI models. Hackers linked to China, Iran, and other foreign governments are using AI tools like Google's Gemini to enhance cyber attacks by improving efficiency in tasks such as coding malicious software, researching targets, and crafting phishing campaigns. Google's report reveals that Chinese and Iranian groups are the most frequent users of Gemini, with Iranian hackers focusing on defense-related research and multilingual phishing, while Chinese groups study hacking tactics and reconnaissance. North Korean hackers use AI to draft cover letters for fake job applications to fund their nuclear program, and Russian hackers employ it for basic coding tasks. Although AI has not yet revolutionized cyber attacks, it helps adversaries scale operations and refine human-led efforts. The rise of China's DeepSeek AI, which offer top-tier capabilities at a lower cost and with open-source access, has raised national security concern about U.S. technological dominance in AI. Chinese AI company DeepSeek has introduced its R1 model, which rivals leading U.S. AI models at a significantly lower training cost, raising concerns about U.S. competitiveness. While some enterprise leaders worry about data security and Chinese ownership, many welcome the competition and cost-cutting pressure it places on big tech. Companies like New York Life are cautiously experimenting with DeepSeek's open-source version, while others prefer to wait for U.S. vendors to adopt similar techniques. DeepSeek models are now available on Amazon Bedrock, allowing businesses to test them without direct engagement. Despite cybersecurity concerns, some executives see DeepSeek as a catalyst for reducing AI costs in the U.S. market. President Trump has launched an aggressive deportation campaign using federal agencies like DEA and U.S. Marshals to enforce immigration laws and widely publicizing arrests. In his first week, ICE arrested nearly 5,000 migrants, including many without criminal records, sparking fear in immigrant communities. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and public figures like Dr. Phil have participated in raids, amplifying the administration's message. The White House has revoked protections for schools and churches, expanded enforcement beyond traditional immigrant hubs, and set daily arrest quotas for ICE office. Critics argue that the administration's strategy is designed to create fear and deter illegal immigration. Investors are betting the computing power or compute will become a major traded commodity, with startups like Compute Exchange launching platforms for auctioning processing capacity. Compute Exchange, backed by high-frequency trading veteran Donald Wilson Jr., plans its first public auction on February 25, though major cloud providers like AWS and Google Cloud have yet to participate. Skeptics argue that compute lacks standardization and fungibility, making it hard to trade like oil or other commodities. Another startup, SF Compute, has already facilitated over $50 million in compute contracts by offering on-demand access to NVIDIA chips. While some experts believe a compute market will develop, they think it may take several years to mature. China's AI sector is rapidly expanding, with major tech giants and startups competing domestically and with U.S. firms. Alibaba, Tencent, Baidu, and ByteDance are leading with AI models like Qwen, Hunyuan, ErnieBot, and Duobao, respectively. Startups such as DeepSeek, StepFun, Moonshot AI, Minimax, and Zippu have gained global attention for their innovations, including cost-efficient training methods and multi-model AI models. Some firms like Zippu have faced U.S. trade restrictions due to concerns over military applications. The competition in China's AI landscape is intensifying, with companies striving for global leadership in AI capabilities. DeepSeek, a Chinese AI startup, has developed an efficient AI model that threatens NVIDIA's dominance by reducing the need for its expensive chips, causing NVIDIA's stock to drop before partially recovering. Investors worry that DeepSeek's approach could disrupt NVIDIA's booming AI chip sales, especially as major tech firms like Amazon, Google, and Microsoft develop their own AI chips. DeepSeek's success may also lead to tighter U.S. export controls on NVIDIA's AI chips to China, though some analysts believe this could accelerate Chinese chip development. Despite concerns, some industry experts argue that DeepSeek's advancements could ultimately benefit NVIDIA by increasing overall AI adoption and computing demands. Meanwhile, major U.S. tech companies, including Meta and Microsoft, continue to invest heavily in AI infrastructure, with spending expected to rise significantly. The State Department has been instructed to observe the spirit of President Trump's executive order eliminating DEI programs, likely preventing the agency from publicly commemorating Black History Month. The new guidance suggests highlighting the contributions of individual Americans while aligning with Trump's priorities, including the closure of DEI offices and policies. State Department officials had sought approval to release statements about Black History Month, but were informed there would be no public-facing messages or events for the occasion. Former officials like Astor Brimmer argue that not observing such events would harm the department's diplomatic efforts. Trump's previous term saw efforts to celebrate Black History Month, but under his guidance, diversity initiatives have been rolled back in federal agencies, including the State Department. The Trump administration has significantly increased arrests of undocumented immigrants, with nearly 1,200 arrests on Sunday and nearly 1,000 on Saturday, compared to the Biden administration's average of 310 daily arrests in its final year. ICE officials have set daily arrest quotas of 75 per office, likely leading to more arrests of immigrants with no criminal records, as they are easier to locate. Current arrests primarily target individuals on pre-existing target lists of criminals, but also include others encountered during operations. Fear has spread in immigration communities, affecting businesses and workplaces, as operations have been reported nationwide, including Denver, New York, and Chicago. A major operation in Chicago was publicized through a video featuring former talk show host Dr. Phil embedded with ICE officers. The Federal Reserve is closely monitoring inflation expectations as President Trump considers new tariffs, which could impact interest rate decisions depending on how they affect public and business sentiment about future prices. Tariffs are most likely to influence inflation expectations now than during Trump's first term, given the recent period of high inflation and greater price sensitivity among businesses and consumers. Businesses are now more experienced with passing higher costs to consumers, and expectations of rising prices could sustain inflation, prompting the Fed to keep rates higher than it otherwise might. The impact of tariffs depends on how they are implemented, with gradual sector-specific tariffs posing more challenges for the Fed to separate their effects from broader inflation trends. The Fed's current inflation projections rely on expectations that inflation will naturally return to 2%, but prolonged inflation closer to 3% could lead to tighter monetary policy to weaken the economy and lower prices. Liang Wenfeng, often compared to innovators like Sam Altman and Jim Simons, is the founder of DeepSeek, a Chinese AI company that has risen to global prominence despite limited access to advanced US chips. Before starting DeepSeek, Liang co-founded Highflyer, one of China's largest quantitative hedge funds applying AI to identify patterns in financial markets. Known for his hands-on leadership and open-source ethos, Liang aims to break big tech monopolies and inspire collaboration. DeepSeek's rapid success has surprised global tech players, with its AI models sparking market disruptions and overwhelming demand. Liang, a low-profile engineer and math enthusiast, continues to lead advancements in AI, prioritizing innovation over personal fame. DeepSeek has disrupted the tech industry by claiming it can rival leading AI models at a fraction of the cost, sparking a market sell-off that hit companies like NVIDIA and TSMC. Investors fear that cheaper AI could reduce demand for high-performance chips, threatening the AI supply chain. However, cheaper AI could also expand applications, driving greater overall demand for semiconductors due to Zevon's paradox, where efficiency boosts consumption. Apple's stock rose 3%, signaling optimism that efficient AI could enhance consumer devices and widen adoption. TSMC, trading at a reasonable valuation, may benefit in the long term from broader semiconductor growth, marking the current sell-off a potential buying opportunity. Chinese AI startup DeepSeek claims to have trained an AI model far more efficiently than competitors, causing a massive sell-off in energy-related stocks including natural gas producers, pipeline operators, and power generators. The announcement challenges assumptions about the energy demands of AI, leading to declines in natural gas futures and stocks of uranium, coal, and land holding companies. Independent power producers, which had been top-performing stocks, were hit hard, with some dropping over 20%, though regulated utilities like American Electric Power gained as investors sought safety. Analysts caution it is too early to gauge the long-term impact of DeepSeek's technology, suggesting it may either reduce power needs or spur broader AI adoption, offsetting efficiency gains. Investors are awaiting further insights from major AI rivals like Microsoft and Meta platforms during upcoming earnings calls before making significant decisions. NVIDIA and other AI stocks suffered a massive sell-off, wiping out $1 trillion in market value following the emergence of DeepSeek, a Chinese AI company that introduced a model rivaling OpenAI's but requiring less computing power. NVIDIA stock plummeted 17%, marking the largest one-day loss for any public company, as concerns arose about reduced future demand for its high-end chips. DeepSeek, founded by Chinese technologists, gained attention with its advanced R1 AI model, showcasing capabilities comparable to OpenAI at a fraction of the cost, sparking fears of disruption in the AI chip market. The market downturn highlighted vulnerabilities in the AI sector as investors crowded into AI trades faced a stark reversal amid fears of concentrated risk in tech megacaps. While some see DeepSeek's advancements as a threat to NVIDIA, others believe lower-cost AI models could broadly benefit the economy and foster competition in the rapidly evolving industry. Chinese AI startup DeepSeek shocked the world by developing advanced AI systems using innovative programming, young engineers, and a loophole in U.S. export controls. Unlike conventional models that require vast amounts of data and expensive chips, DeepSeek used cost-efficient techniques, including mixture of experts, to reduce training demands. The company also benefited from a temporary gap in U.S. chip restrictions, allowing them to purchase NVIDIA's high-performance H800 chips. DeepSeek's success has triggered the re-evaluation of AI strategies in Silicon Valley and raised questions about U.S. export control policies. Some experts suspect additional undisclosed methods contributed to DeepSeek's breakthrough. Kim Jong-un is focusing on North Korea's use to ensure loyalty and prevent ideological drift, particularly in light of foreign influences like K-pop and Hollywood. A key element of this strategy is Baekdusan Hero Youth Shock Brigade, a group of young volunteers mobilized for major construction projects such as flood reconstruction. These brigades, composed mainly of teenagers and young adults, are used to reinforce socialist ideals through hard labor, and their work is heavily publicized by state media. The harsh conditions and indoctrination serve to strengthen the regime's control over the population. Kim's emphasis on these brigades reflects his fear of losing control over the younger generation, which could destabilize his rule.